Most of the players I've highlighted on Legends over the last 3 years got the opportunity to play out their career and see them through. It's something all of us hope to do from the moment we put on the uniform, to control our own destiny. Derrick Thomas was one of the most dominant defensive players of the 1990s. Many believe that had his career played out the way it was trending, he might have been the NFL's all-time leader in sacks. But it didn't. On a snowy night in December of 1999, Derrick was in a car accident that killed a close friend and left him paralyzed. 2 weeks later, Derrick suffered a pulmonary embolism and passed away as well. I'm Steven Jackson, and in this episode of Legends, we look back at the life and legacy of Derrick Thomas and wonder what greatness might have been waiting on him if it wasn't for a tragic accident one night in December. Derrick Vincent Thomas was born New Year's Day, 1967, out of Miami, Florida, to his mother Edith and his father Robert Thomas. His father Robert served in the Air Force during the Vietnam War, where he rose to the ranks of captain. In 1972, Derrick was just 5 years old. Robert died when his B-52 bomber was shot down. Without a father figure, Derrick rebelled against his mother and his grandmother, and often found himself in trouble as a youngster. It was only after a local judge would send Derrick to a last chance youth program where he would find the game of football. And in that, he would put all his energy into the sport, and it would reward him handsomely. Playing in South Miami High School, a local powerhouse, Derrick started on offense as a tight end, but he was unstoppable on defense, so that's where he played. He became a high school All-American and was heavily recruited by the country's top football programs. In the end, he decided to attend University of Alabama. It didn't take long for Derrick to make an impact. He saw action as a freshman in 1985, and from 85 through 86, teamed with future NFL star Cornelius Bennett to form a fearsome duo. As a senior in 1988, he obliterated the school's sack record, finishing with 27 sacks, an NCAA single-season record that still stands to this day. He was a consistent All-American and won the Buckets Award. He also got Alabama back to winning. The Crimson Tide went 35-13-1 in Derrick's 4 years in Tuscaloosa. They won the Aloha Bowl once and the Sun Bowl twice. He finished his college career with 52 sacks, 68 tackles for loss, and 5 block kicks. All remain an Alabama record. Entering the 1989 NFL Draft, Derrick's stock rose through the roof. In a draft that included Deion Sanders, it was Derrick who was first defensive player off the board, going number 4 overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the first selection of a new regime in Kansas City, led by Carl Peterson as general manager, the late great Marty Schottenheimer as a head coach, and on defense, a future legend as well in Bill Cowher. Under Cowher, the Chiefs' defense was focused on stopping the run and getting after the quarterback, forcing turnovers. Derrick was a big part of all of that. Derrick caused havoc in the NFL from the moment he set foot on the field in 1989. A starter from day one, he had 2.5 sacks in his second game, a 24-19 win over the Raiders, and he added 2 more in the game against the rival Denver. The first time on many in a career spent tormenting the legendary quarterback John Elway. Thomas would later say Elway, who he had sacked 26 times, was his favorite player to play against. What DT became known for was his first step, his signature bend around the tackle. And once he got downhill, his blend of speed and the power that he would generate only ended in one way: rocking the quarterback and forcing fumbles by the bunch. Man, he gets up the field so fast, he puts a lot of pressure on the left tackle, or any tackle that matter, but his sheer speed, he runs the hump, and he gets after the quarterback. He's going to cause turnovers. You can tell consciously he's going after the ball. When the quarterback's going back on his drop, and the moment before he gets ready to unload the ball, DT seems to always have the perfect timing there. Regardless if it's a 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop, Derrick Thomas had a nose for the football and how to get there. As a rookie, Derrick started all 16 games and logged 10 sacks, forced 3 fumbles, and recovered 1 other. He was named the Defensive Rookie of the Year by the AP and UPI, and was named to the first of 9 straight Pro Bowls. Though they did not make the playoffs in 1989, the Chiefs improved by 4 games, going 8-7-1. Their first of 9 seasons, finishing above 500. The 1990 season was even better for Kansas City, and in year 2, Derrick took another massive step towards becoming one of the most feared players in the National Football League. During November in the game against the Seattle Seahawks, Derrick sacked the Seattle quarterback, Dave Krieg, a record 7 times, including a sack in the end zone that was recovered by Kansas City for his only touchdown in that game. He finished the season with a league-high 20 sacks. To date, only 11 men have had more sacks in a season on record. DT also had a league-leading 6 forced fumbles that year and recovered 2 more. He was named an All-Pro for the first time and was a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year to Bruce Smith, despite having 20 sacks to Smith's 19 and playing 1 game fewer. Kansas City made the postseason, but they lost in the first round to the Miami Dolphins. Over the next several years, DT would continue to establish himself as a dominant force as a pass rusher. In 1993, after a few years of early playoff exits, Derrick and the Chiefs finally got a chance to make a run. The arrival of Joe Montana and Marcus Allen finally gave Kansas City an offense to match his defense. And the Chiefs won the AFC West for the first time since 1971. In the postseason, Kansas City mowed through the coward Steelers. In the next round, they obliterated Houston, sacking the Oilers quarterback Warren Moon 9 times, including 2 from DT. But they couldn't get by the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. That was the last playoff win of Derrick's career. From 1994 to 1998, Derrick logged 53.5 sacks. He forced 14 fumbles and recovered 7, and was responsible for 3 safeties. Over that same span, the Chiefs went 51-29, including 2 13-3 seasons, each enough for the AFC West crown that year, but lost in the first playoff game in 4 straight seasons. The 1999 would be Derrick's last. The Chiefs finished 9-7. That year included some of DT's greatest highlights. On Halloween, Derrick grabbed his first and only career interception when a tip ball landed in his lap and he nearly returned it for a touchdown. A few weeks later against the Vikings, Derrick's second fourth-quarter sack of Jeff George caused a fumble that was returned for a 44-yard go-ahead touchdown. Kansas City ultimately won the game. The following week, DT made the 126th sack of his career, stalling a Steelers drive and helping seal the win. He didn't know it at the time, but that would be the last sack of his career. A few weeks after the end of the regular season, Derrick and a few friends were on their way to the airport when he lost control of his Chevy Suburban. Derrick and another passenger weren't wearing their seatbelts, and they were thrown from the vehicle. The passenger died at the scene, while the crash left DT paralyzed. 2 weeks later in Miami Hospital, Derrick suddenly fell unconscious during a physical therapy session. A blood clot in his leg had traveled to his lung, causing a fatal pulmonary embolism. Derrick was just 33 years of age. Though his career was cut short, Derrick left such an impact on the league that in 2009, 9 years after his death, he was inducted posthumously into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Over an 11-year career, Derrick had 41 forced fumbles. He ranked 2nd all time at the time of his death. Today, he's still ranked 9th overall. He also had 126 half sacks, an average of 11.5 per season. That number still ranks in the top 25. Derrick would have needed to play 7 more seasons at that level to surpass the 200 career sacks amassed by Bruce Smith. Could he have done it? At that point, Derrick would have been 39 years of age, 1 year younger than Smith when he broke Reggie White's record. Would Derrick Thomas be the league leader all-time sacks, if not for that accident? We'll never know. But what we do know is the kid from Miami, who turned his life around for the game of football, was one of the greatest to ever get out to the quarterback. Life sometimes ends abruptly and often too short. But what we do know about Derrick Thomas, he was a legend.